Welcome to the show with no name for Friday, March the 1st, 2013. I'm Bob Going. On my far right is Gavin Murdoch. In the middle is Jim Nikosha. Jim, I got to tell you something.
Okay, what did I do wrong?
Now, well, the last time you were here, you know, you were getting a little rambunctious. You started like contributing to the conversation and stuff. Right?
Oh yeah.
You know, instead of just nodding and saying you're right, Bob, you're right, Gavin. You know, so we got decaf today. Is what I'm telling you. Boy, oh boy. Well, we've been off for a couple of weeks, 3 weeks actually. Well, we were off two. We haven't been here in 3 weeks. Last week we were going to do a show, and then you know, school was off, and the wife decides we want to go to Boston and pick up my green car that my daughter got tired of.
On a Friday, no less.
Yeah, and you know, you just do what you're told. And
I know. Yes, dear. Yeah, yes,
dear. So Louisa borrows my car between Thanksgiving and Christmas. I think like, it wasn't even last year. I think it was 2 years ago, and I just got it back. She finally bought a new one of her own. So she got her first car.
Her first car?
Yes, her first car. Daughter has her first car. Wow. Then what else? So of course you were down at some competition someplace.
Yeah,
right?
We were down at the Metro Express in New Jersey for the bagpipes, and he took a third place in the P-Brock, which was excellent. He got moved up in grade this year, and he's competing against people who have been playing for 10, 15 years now. So
is this an individual or the
solo? He has
solo
competition.
Wow.
Yeah,
third place in what?
In P-Brock. It's classical bagpiping. It's kind of like if you go to competition piano, they play Bach or Beethoven. This is the type of classical music he plays on the pipes.
Very nice.
So
very
he was very pleased.
So they do
that.
the Fifth Symphony on the pipes or anything like that?
No, it's just classical bagpipe tunes. Not classical bagpipe.
Does that mean they have to be a certain age?
No. He can be any age, but he's just worked his way up to the point where he's...
No, I don't mean him. I mean the music.
Oh,
yeah.
no, there's no age restriction on the music. There's some classical thing still getting written as of today. People still write classical music.
People are writing classical music today?
Yeah, they do for the pipes, yeah. So that was a good trip. Yep.
Third place for a 12-year-old?
Yeah, he was very, very pleased, and we had a nice time down there. The weather was good. GPS got us there and got us back. And that's the important thing.
Yeah. Thank God for GPS. What did we do before that?
I don't know.
You know, I was watching the technology has advanced so rapidly that TV shows that don't seem very old look so antique automatically. I'm watching a Monk episode the other night from, I don't know, first or second season of Monk, which isn't that long ago. The show wasn't on that long. And the plot involves a really rich guy with a really, really rich car who has a GPS, right? And it's all like, you know, the big capital letters flash on the screen and stuff. And the plot is, I hope I'm not giving anything away for people who haven't seen the show, but somebody takes the CD out of his GPS and reprograms it so that when he wants to go to a certain place, he ends up going to the place where he's killed.
Oops.
Wow. A CD-loaded GPS system, but probably took up half the car.
Yeah.
That's one of Elaine's favorite shows, Monk.
Oh, that's a great show. Yeah, that's a great show. It's always amusing. The mystery is irrelevant.
The paranoia is great. You know, but any of these old shows you watch, especially when you're talking with phones, you see the old portable phones.
Oh, the Seinfeld with a 2-foot-long portable phone. From his first season, 91. Yeah. Absolutely. I remember the first cell phone I ever saw, and it was that size. My friend Tony Casellas, who's a year ahead of us, ahead of me at Scully, and a couple of years ahead of you, was a lawyer in Chicago, and he came to visit his father, whose office was next door to mine in the KeyBank building. So this has got to be, holy mackerel. I moved out of there in '83, so it had to be before '83. And he shows up in my office. He always had the best of everything, you know, with his cell phone that's this big, and he's trying to explain to me how it works. And he dials his office back in Chicago. And, you know, my eyes pop out of my head. You know, it probably cost $1,000 a month at the time or something like that. I wouldn't be surprised. He worked for a big law firm, but yeah. You know, and it was absolutely astonishing. And only about a year or two before that, I'd been reading about the. Jimmy, you tried to say something again.
Yeah,
be careful. About a year or two before, I had read in one of these really advanced computer magazines about, you know, the future of communications, how you'd be able to do. He didn't even. I don't even think they even used the word email, but explained how these cell packets would work, and well, we'll have a nation of cell towers. And I said, whoa, you know, this is like reading I remember about 1963 or 4. I had a Popular Science that talked about flat screen TVs and and how they would work. And anyway, go ahead, Jim.
When I was a salesman back in the day, I was traveling with a couple sales managers out of Florida, and they said that the cell areas were coming up for bidding. And the guys were saying, well, we should all get together and buy these areas in Florida because it's flat land, you know, and all this that. And we all poo-pooed them, and we never got around to it. Now everybody who did it are millionaires.
I remember my brother Jay, who is 2 years older than me. I mean, we were still in school. I don't even know if he was in high school yet. I don't think he was. But he followed the stock market. And he says to me one day, he says, there's a startup company, Communication Satellite Corporation. We should get into that. I mean, this was like, you know, Telstar was like 2 years old at the time, or a year old or something. But they, you know, ComSat. And I don't know whatever became of ComSat ultimately, but holy crap, they made a lot of money in a pretty short period of time. I should have listened to him. Well,
I went to little Lori's grandmother's wake the other night.
To whose?
Your granddaughter.
Oh, Laura's, yes, last night, yeah. Actually, the funeral's right now.
It's a big surprise to me.
Did you know Kit?
I knew Kit very well. Yeah, Kit and Charlie.
Nice lady. Yeah. And Charlie's a peach. If there's a nicer guy in Amsterdam, I've never met him.
Worked with him for a few years.
Is that right? Yeah. This is Kit Porcello, who passed away earlier this week. The funeral's right now. It's Anna's.
Oh, that's right.
Babysitting for all the kids.
8:30.
Yeah. And of course, Charlie is cousin to Richie Leggero. Their mothers are sisters.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Which makes him related to you through me.
Yeah.
Through that.
See that?
Yeah.
Who knew?
Now you do.
Now I do.
So I'm down in New York the other day. Monday I went down to New York with Dave Petruccia, noted presidential historian. We didn't do much of anything, which is what we usually do. But when the megabus is so cheap, what the heck? You go down, you have lunch, and you come home. Anyway, we're getting back. Going to find where they keep moving the bus stop for the megabus, but it's now further and further into the distance. But we find the bus, and there's lines for Philadelphia, Washington, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And we finally find the line for the Albany bus, and the first person in line is my sister.
Yeah, right.
Well, I've only seen a couple of times since she moved back to the area, and so she sat with us on the way back. We had a nice long shot, caught up.
Isn't that something?
And I guess what brought it to mind is I explained to her how we're related to Groucho Marx, and she takes out her cell phone and she puts the record function on and says, "Go, start." Explain this to me. Oh boy! By the way, did anybody watch when we started the show here?
No.
Oh.
Well, there was a couple minutes after 10 because I didn't get here until 3 minutes after 10.
Oh, okay. This is
10:13.
This is high technology, folks. What the heck? Every time I turn this on, I get something different. On this day in business. On this day in business, what the heck is this?
No, that's, yeah.
On this day, in 1995, California internet company Yahoo is incorporated. 1995. That's probably before they did anything. They would have incorporated first. Okay, that's great. But just tell me what time it is, dang it.
5 after 10 now.
Yeah, I know, but they should be, you know.
13 after.
Yeah, I got 14, yeah, 10:14. What do you got?
14.
All right, anyway, so let's see. Well, since last we met, the Pope retired.
Yeah.
He's, and
I watched a little bit of it on the news while it was happening, and it was very, very enlightening, very interesting. He flew over the Vatican in the helicopter for a couple of times. His last visit.
Yeah, until he comes back and lives in the motel.
In the monastery.
Really, kind of looks like a 50s motel is what it looks like. Yeah.
It's a nice piece of property he's got there.
Well,
yeah,
but he used to own the whole city.
Yeah.
Beautiful place. They closed the door and the Swiss guard left. That's their end. They're no more protecting him.
Oh.
Now he's got to.
Gotta wait for the new guy to show up.
No Swiss guards. It's going to be local police and Vatican police.
I wonder what those Swiss guards would have done with their pikes and maces anyway.
Well, they're supposed to be pretty well trained. They're
I'm sure they are.
They're Swiss Army recruits.
Yeah.
They're not recruits. They're soldiers.
Wow. So you got any favorites? What do you think?
Let's
got the inside track here.
I don't.
Okay.
As long as he's Catholic.
Well, see, you say that. I think kind of a neat move would be is if they named the Patriarch of Constantinople as the next pope.
Uniting the Eastern and Western churches.
That would be something.
In one fell swoop.
Oh.
That would be something.
Now, does he have a nice place he lives in?
Does he have what?
Does his place that he lives in right now?
No, because Constantinople doesn't exist, so it's really the Patriarch of what do they call that now? Byzantium, not Byzantium, Istanbul. Yeah. So no, I mean he's the Patriarch of a great Christian religion in a Muslim country where they repress the church.
Yeah.
But that'd be neat.
But that won't happen.
So they're schismatic, but they still believe what we believe for the most part, and we can work out the rest. But I don't know. Maybe that's not going to happen.
No, I don't think so.
If they go outside of Italy, any number of things could happen. There's a cardinal in Sri Lanka whose name escapes me at the moment, who is one of the possibilities.
Yeah.
There's a fellow in the Philippines. I don't know if he directly replaced Cardinal Sin or not, which I always thought was the greatest name for a church leader you could possibly have. Cardinal Sin of the Philippines.
So all his sins were cardinal.
Yeah, all of them.
They weren't venial.
They didn't do anything in a small way. There's, of course, the black guy from Ghana, who I think his name is maybe Peter something, who everybody's talking about, but as there's a famous saying, if you go into the conclave a pope, you come out a cardinal.
They were mentioning, there's a Canadian guy, too, that
I think going to North America, I don't think is going to happen.
That's a long shot. That's a long shot.
If it's an American, it won't be Dolan. It will be Burke, the former Archbishop of St. Louis.
Yeah.
You got all this?
I got it. And there's also a guy, Latin American one.
Yeah, he's out. I say no.
No.
I say no.
No.
Be interesting. I mean, even if the third world all gets together if they were doing this the political way instead of waiting for the Holy Spirit to tell them something,
they can't win anyhow.
They haven't got enough. They haven't got enough votes just in and of themselves.
Now, what's the required number of votes? One more than half?
No. they changed it.
No, it's not an electoral college now, is it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Somebody told me to set up this joke for me the other day, and I can't remember who it was, and I don't remember the punchline. But they started saying that the Vatican's doing online voting for this one, and then I can't remember what the heck was so funny after that. But,
so what's the number you need to?
It's actually, I think, 2/3 now.
2/3.
Which is what it always was up until the last time. John Paul had changed it to 50 plus 1, and Benedict changed it back.
2/3, huh?
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's
a pretty high hurdle, though.
Yeah, but it's a consensus. I mean, that's the whole thing, is you want a consensus. And the last few conclaves have not taken very long.
This last one, it was 8 days?
Oh, well, the last one, no. The last one, well, once they started voting, it was, I think it was only 2 ballots.
Now, we vote today, and we don't get a pope. When they're back in conclave talking about it, do they tell who's got the highest number of votes? Or who
No. As a matter of fact, they are sworn to never reveal what goes on inside.
And they're supposed to...
Well, you don't reveal what's going on inside, but it doesn't mean they can't talk to each other what's going on.
They're supposed
they can talk. Yeah, they can talk. Oh, yeah.
Supposed to disguise their handwriting so nobody can tell what they voted.
I think they. What are you saying? Do they announce the vote?
Do they, when they come back and sit down in there in secrecy, do they say, "Look, we got"?
Yeah, I think so.
They can say who the vote getters are.
But they're not allowed. Yeah, I think.
Once you're outside, you don't talk about it. But in there,
right. You can't talk to anybody else. And the only communication with the outside world, of course, is the straw, the smoke.
Yeah, because the doors are locked.
Habemus Papam. Wow.
We'll see.
They haven't even decided exactly when it's going to start. At the latest, the 15th of March, but they're talking about moving it up.
The 10th or the 11th.
Yeah, but I don't think that's been decided yet. It's hard to tell. We got much more important things like who's threatening Bob Woodward to talk about.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Oh, today's the first day of the sequester.
How's that going for you, Bob?
Well, I got up this morning. I was terrified. I said, "Oh, the world is ending. This is like the Mayan calendar thing all over again."
You didn't think I was going to get any coffee.
That's right. That's right. Where are we going to shop?
Now, just.
You laid off everybody in the school district in anticipation of this, right?
Yeah. A couple districts have done that. So it's $85 billion as a percentage of the total national budget is how much?
2%.
It's not even that. And
I think they said 2 points.
Yeah. They show the charts going out, from now until 10 years or whatever, and it says, see if you can spot the sequester on this chart, because it's a slightly different color, and at the top of the graph, and it is so minuscule that it blends right in. Your eyes can't even discern that it's there.
They're worried about this $85 billion. Is that $85 billion?
Yeah.
They just spent more than that on Hurricane Sandy.
And they just voted to give Afghanistan
the Syrian rebels.
Yeah, Syrian rebels $16 billion or something.
Oh, yeah.
60 million.
60 million. Jeez, I can't understand what's going on
in the
down
big
there.
scheme of the waters of the world, it don't make a ripple.
Well, we've talked before about the amateurish nature of this administration. I mean, they just don't look like professional governors. Everything they do is so cheap and petty, and it was like, forgive me, but it was like watching the school board. The way this thing came down. It's always, well, we're announcing there will be no air traffic controllers, and they've apparently ordered the TSA to do a slowdown because they've got the same number of people, but now everybody's going through the X-ray machine, and nobody's going outside, and they're deliberately slowing stuff down. The teachers are going to be laid off. Maxine Waters said that Congresswoman Maxine Waters, one of the brightest people ever to serve in Congress, announced that as a result of the sequester, 170 million jobs will be lost.
180. Wait a minute.
Well, there's only 100. At last I knew there was only 134 million working in the United States. So it's all of them. Everybody's laid off plus another. We bank another 40 million.
Well, we're going to bring some in from foreign.
They'll bring right back as consultants for half the price.
Okay. You know,
I during the day I got the TV on and off while I'm working around, and I see Michelle Obama on these talk shows. I says, how undignified for the office.
Yep.
The way she's been carrying on these shows. Yesterday I turned it off. I said, shut it off. I said, I don't want to watch this anymore. It was.
She's pretty. She's catching up with Kardashian for useless television time.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
They
had her doing push-ups with somebody. And so undignified. I just can't picture. Can you picture Jackie Onassis doing that from the White House, or Laura Bush doing? I saw, brother.
Actually, with Jackie Kennedy.
Jackie Onassis after.
But it's nothing. It's nothing in the big scheme. And a lot of this is future spending money, not even money that they're spending now. So when they're talking about these people working, a lot of these are not replacing people who retire. It's not getting rid of people who are actually semi-gainfully employed by the federal government. They could probably save more money, and I don't know, I haven't seen any figures, but if they got rid of the entirety of each of the czar's programs that were created under Obama, we could save a whole lot of money too.
Yeah, sure.
And since they've only been there for 4 years, they really haven't done a whole lot. And I don't think we'd even feel that a bit.
If we went back to our 2008 budget, there would be no deficit at all. That's the truth. There would be no deficit. It would all be wiped out. Everything, you know, this massive debt we're running up is entirely of his making. Entirely. $1 trillion a year. Good God.
I heard, the next subject is, I heard that the mayor and corporation council have their budget ready to be submitted to the council.
Wow.
And I guess the council had no input on this. From what I understand, it's their budget.
Well, I don't know. It's the mayor. It's not the mayor. It's the controller's budget.
Well,
Jerry's been acting as controller.
Well, yeah, we don't have a controller, but you know.
I'm still wondering under what authority they hired the. I don't mind, but under what authority did they hire the deputy controller?
They asked that on the radio station yesterday, and they didn't have an answer.
Yeah, if you figure it out, it's the mayor's choice because
why is that?
There is no controller. So according to our charter, she can take over the positions of department heads.
Not elected officials. The solution to that is you replace the elected official.
Yeah, but that doesn't say it in the charter whether it's elected or it doesn't say.
I don't think you're right.
I could.
But they don't do anything right anyway. So I mean, the thing is, I mean, I will grant that this is an extraordinary situation where there's a.
I don't see how
there's a constitutional crisis because it doesn't really correctly address what happens when they don't do what they're supposed to do. So it's not a bad idea to do what they did. It's just that they never even considered doing it right. And when Gina just says, well, it's the mayor's appointment, what? How is it the mayor's appointment? I don't see that at all. I don't see that at all. Perhaps you can explain it.
I can't explain it.
All right, then.
Unexplainable.
I don't have the degree.
All right. Did you see Gene Worsbicky's letter to the editor yesterday?
Yes, I did.
God bless her. That's a
very nice letter.
Now you can see why they were such a good couple, Ron and Gene.
Yeah.
You know, she hit the nail right on the head.
Him being a Mensa member, that well, it didn't surprise me, but it was. Well, I guess you would say surprised me, because I knew he was intelligent, but I didn't know he had that type of an IQ.
Well, there you go.
I guess you can't tell. So.
Why are you looking at me?
Because I can't tell.
You can't.
Getting back to Jackie Kennedy. You know, I mean, obviously the assassination of her husband was one of the great tragedies of our lifetime, and it's nothing to joke about, of course, but one of the worst things about it was it ended the career of Von Meter, who did the first Family album. You remember that? He did the best dead-on impression of Jack Kennedy, and
yeah.
Because you were talking about how dignified she was as a first lady. And there's a wonderful scene where there's the party at the White House, and the Major Domo is announcing, Dr. Albert Schweitzer. Dr. Schweitzer, thank you for coming. Good to see you here. Oh, Albert, good to see you again. Mr. Pablo Picasso. Mr. Picasso, welcome to the White House. Pablo, will we be getting together for drinks after? And it goes on. And finally he turns to her and says, Jackie, why is it always your friends? Boy, oh boy. Well, let's see.
I was telling
Yeah, go ahead.
I was off camera that I used my oven again during the week.
You what?
Used my outdoor oven.
Oh, you're kidding.
No, I made some, I made Easter bread for a trial run, so to make sure it was okay at 3.
How many loaves did you make?
I just made 4. I just made one batch.
You made 4 and you took them out, and there was 8 when you came out?
No, there was 4
didn't
there.
multiply them. Okay.
There was, and they're all gone.
Wow. Yeah, I made a loaf of gluten-free the other day. It was pretty good. It didn't use your outdoor oven though. Next time you're firing it up, let me know. I'll bring some dough down and I'll throw it in.
Oh,
How long does it take to bake?
Anywhere from 20 minutes to an hour.
Oh, amazing. You thump it, or you take it out and thump it?
Well, I do, but I got a thermometer. I check it also.
Oh, okay. Internal thermometer?
Yeah.
Oh.
The internal temperature of bread is supposed to be about 180 to 200 degrees.
I had no idea.
Yeah. And I try to get it up to 190, and I'll take it out, and another 10 degrees it goes up while it's out of the oven.
Yeah.
Wow.
I to test the oven temperature, see if it's ready to bake bread. You put your hand in, and you count to 10. If you can hold your hand in there till you count to 10, that's okay. So ready to go. If you got to pull it out before 10, it's too hot. You got to let it cool off a little bit. Just don't touch the sides.
That sounds like an absurd process.
Now, I'm sure.
Why don't you just stick your damn thermometer in there?
The thermometers aren't telling you anything unless you get an oven thermometer.
Yeah, an oven thermometer.
Well, that's.
They cost about $2.95 at the Hannaford.
No, that's too up to date. You got to do it the old way. It's got an old oven, so I'm going to use the old-fashioned way.
You say something like that on here, you're going to have some federal or state inspector coming down and closing you down.
That's
because
right.
There's got to be some kind of law against putting your hand in a baker's oven baking bread. And you could end up going to jail. You could have a fine.
Well,
they could confiscate your property. You don't know what could happen. You're opening yourself up to some serious litigation, I'm sure.
When you're heating the oven up, you got to burn the wood in there. But
Tom McQuaid is going to be knocking on your door.
It can make a lot of smoke.
Oh.
But that means there's fire.
Oh, geez.
There's smoke, there's fire.
So I'm walking up and down the driveway making sure somebody's going to stop, and 2 guys stopped.
Really?
They saw the smoke, and I said, what do I do? So I called the fire station. I said, look, guys, I'm burning wood in my backyard in an oven. I said, if you get a complaint for smoke at this area, I said,
ignore it while the house next door burns down. Yeah.
I didn't say ignore it. I said, just take it with a grain of salt that it might be my oven.
Well, see, you gotta be careful.
Yeah, I was burning some brush in the back one time when we first moved here, and all of a sudden I hear the fire trucks coming up the mall, and they drive all around the hill. They never find me. They never found the fire, and they go back to the station. Hey, Chippy Dog. Chip the Wonder Dog, the official dog of the show with no name, is here visiting with us, and he's about to take the microphones with him. Okay, go on, Chip. That's a okay. Gavin.
Bob.
In the paper the other day, I kept it out for the show, but powers that be around here cleaning up got rid of it. There was an article by John Metallo, former superintendent of the Fort Plains schools, talking about the 4 A's as opposed to the 3 R's. And don't ask me what the 4 A's were, but the 4th A, whatever it was, his point was that students who engage in extracurricular activities, like sports, drama, music, that sort of thing, are far more successful in their careers than those who don't. And how important it is not to have that stuff be the first thing you talk about cutting, because it's important for the development of the students. I agree with that. I mean, there are a couple of different ways to look at this. You got, of course, the fact of the matter is the kids who are well-balanced leaders and everything else are going to get involved in that stuff. So maybe it's a cart and a horse thing. On the other hand, I've always believed what Aristotle taught: the importance of excellence. Excellence in drama and music and sports and everything else. You promote making people the best they can be.
And there's different ways to make them the best they can be. There's different avenues.
Yeah.
And one of the things I always felt, and I still do, is that you got to throw a lot of hooks in the water to catch fish. And whatever hook you use is the one that's going to allow them to have an opportunity to be successful. You have a lot of students who are struggling in school, and they're going to stick and struggle and keep going because there's something else giving them a chance to pull them along. In our district, we have an academic eligibility policy, which requires a student participating in any extracurricular activity, whether it's sports or drama or band, to maintain passing grades in all of their classes. And because of that, and because kids are interested in drama but may be struggling, they're going to be successful because they receive additional academic support to help them maintain those passing grades, to keep them engaged in the classroom as well as that activity. And they've worked real hard over the last several years to tighten up this academic eligibility policy. And Randy Huddle, who was the athletic director and assistant principal at the high school, has made great strides this year, and seeing that the program is being followed, and that those students who need additional assistance are getting it. And the number of students who have been put on academic probation has decreased. And therefore, the kids who are involved in activities are able to remain in activities as well as being successful in the classroom. One of the things that makes us, the United States, different from the rest of the world is that we offer these things in school. You go to other countries, activities are outside of school. They don't have school sports. They don't have school clubs as such. If you are good at art and you want to pursue something in an art club, there's a different place to go, like the YMCA. It's not part of your academic program. And so we do things differently here. Sometimes we do different things good, and sometimes we do different things not so good. But regardless, the fact that we have this as part of our academic program, our school program, we need to do the best we can with it. And there is credence. But something you'd mentioned too is you have good kids doing good things, so they're going to be doing these other things and keep doing good. Kids who do not become engaged aren't engaged in either place.
Right.
You know,
Right.
and that's part of the choices people have to make. You know, if it weren't for sports, we would have more students who would be unsuccessful because they are not vested in the classroom activities, the academic learning, as they should be, just because that's a choice that they make. But because they want to play sports,
there's an incentive.
There's an incentive. So, and when you look in the big scheme of the waters of the world and monies, the amount of money that is spent on these things is small in comparison to what we spend money on in the classroom, on salaries, on transportation and things. So I think you get a pretty good bang for your buck when you look at what goes on. In the fall, we had pretty near 50% of the high school population was involved in something besides school, between band, football, majorettes, cross country, all these things, and all the clubs. You know, whether it's the Masterminds Club, which is one that competes against other schools like it used to be. What do we call it? We had it when we were in school. It was, and I don't remember what it begins with. You're on TV, you compete.
Yeah.
Answers, please.
Oh, yeah.
The Masterminds.
Formerly the Little Red Schoolhouse.
Yes,
right,
exactly.
Right,
well,
right.
they have that. So you've got kids involved in that. You've got the Robotics Club, which provides opportunities for your higher achieving kids to be involved in something. You have your international club. You know, you have lots of things going on that people don't necessarily see because they're not all high profile. But if you look at all these things, you've got, you know, that's a lot. 50%, you've got over 600 kids in one season doing something besides school. All right, and if you figure a bell curve out of that, you know, 20% of those kids would be on the low end of academics, and maybe they're doing as well as they are academic because they're involved in something else.
Good. Good.
You know, so
it's all part of the balanced approach, and I think you know, I think the approach is right. How it's executed, you know, you got to stick to your regimen, stick to your own rules, and you know, there's always been that conflict with you can't. You know, you can't flunk this kid. He's on the football team. We need him.
I can say that doesn't happen now. It's that we don't want this kid to flunk. Period, regardless of anything.
Right.
We have an incentive because now he's going to have to go to the academic study hall before he goes to practice after school. All right, which means he's going to have another 45 minutes to get his work done. He can get tutoring help in that course he's having a problem with. You know, and they even have after-school tutoring programs for students who are not involved in academics, so they can spend time with a teacher to get some more of those skills they need to pass the course. You know, but again, the ultimate thing is choice. You have to make the choice to take advantage of the opportunities presented, so that you have choices in life.
You know, there are character lessons that need to be learned. You know, I have my pet peeves about this because I was brought up under Dutch Holland, and he did things differently.
They were done differently.
No, but I think correctly too, and I'll explain in Asia. Back when I was city court judge, I had a kid appear in front of me who was on the football team on a DWI. Okay. It was one of these things where, if convicted, you lose your license till you're 21 because you're drinking underage, okay? In addition to driving while intoxicated. And try to think how Dutch would have handled that. Needless to say, there was absolutely no discipline taken by the school whatsoever, and the kid plays in the championship game, and I think played a significant part in the championship game. Dutch would have tossed him. That would have been it.
Yeah.
You know, one of my favorite stories is was the first year, or the last year of St. Mary's Institute was the first year they had football, because Dutch wanted to start the football program before Scully opened. So they actually had green and white football uniforms for a blue and white school, because they were going to keep using them over the years. One of the, if not the last game, one of the last games of the season, some kids on the bus were handing around a bottle, and people were taking a swig of the bottle before the game. And no one would have known about it but for the fact that one of the players was injured, was taken to the hospital, and had a blood alcohol count when he got there. Before the game was over, he got injured in the first half. Before the game was over, they had found the bottle on the bus. 3 or 4 guys were singled out as having been involved. There was a whole school, well, maybe it was just a high school. You might not have been there, but it was at least a high school. I was a freshman. Assembly in Dugan Hall. No chairs. Everybody stood. Everybody stood. And Father Hartley got up and he explained what the situation was, and he called all the perpetrators up on stage.
Public humiliation? Holy.
Not exactly, but sort of. Yeah. He announced what the offense was, and he announced what the punishment was. And some of them were seniors. Most of them were seniors. They were stripped of any ability to play in any athletics for the rest of the season, for the rest of the school year, meaning no basketball and no baseball in their senior year. And this is, yeah, we don't fool around. That's it. It doesn't matter how good they were, or how, or whatever. That's you violated the rule, and we want everybody to know that you're all being treated equally. Now, that's only part of the story. The part, and that is
now the rest of the story.
That's illustrative of what I was just saying, of the different approaches. Because as far as Dutch was concerned, the character was far more important than the end result, even though he had a great record as a coach. After it's over, after the assembly is over, another senior, goes up to Father Hartley and says, "Father, I took a swig too." And he got the same punishment. And I still look at this guy with awe every time I see him, because he learned the character lesson. He learned the character lesson. Yeah. And another guy didn't
do it.
And he ended up quitting school before the year was over. Yeah.
He didn't have the character to stay.
Yeah.
Dutch's office at St. Mary's was downstairs,
right,
down the hallway from where the cafeteria was. And I can remember
the blue smoke pouring out of there.
I can remember, I must have been in 2nd grade, because I could read reasonably well. And outside his office, he had the menus that the kids were supposed to be following before the game.
Wow.
What they were supposed to eat, and what you weren't supposed to eat. And of course he had on the bottom there the curfew time, because he used to call around the night before a game to make sure you were home and not out someplace beyond curfew.
Even when there'd be school dances, the school dances would go to 11. The athletes had to leave before 10. They had to be home by 10.
Yeah.
And Dutch would be down in his office, dutifully calling every home at 10:15 to make sure that his guys were home.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's going to be inducted into the, I guess, State Baseball Hall of, or Basketball Hall of Fame on March 17th. I think it's in the ceremony is in Glens Falls, I believe.
Where'd you see this?
In the paper.
What?
Yeah.
I didn't see that.
And Dick Seiss put this together. He said, he had the winningest record in Section 2, and so, but nobody, there were. I guess the record keeper of Section 2 got in some kind of trouble, and the records disappeared. So Dick dutifully went around checking the old yearbook records, old newspaper records, and compiling Dutch's complete history to present his case for being in the Hall of Fame, and it was accepted, and it's and it's going to take place on March 17th. Long overdue, but
that's Sunday, St. Patrick's Day.
That's St. Patrick's Day. Yeah.
Wow.
I remember he had told Father Glavin, he said, "Father, I got only one request." He says, "When I go, I want to be laid out on the Scully S in the middle of the gym floor." And his wake was at the school, and it was a mile long. Yeah. He affected a lot of lives over the years, and all for the good. I remember one of his teams, I think maybe one with, around the Cappy Wells era, maybe. They went to the state championship basketball game and lost.
Yes. They were a Class B team.
And Dutch said afterwards that he was not unhappy that they lost. He says, because these kids haven't lost a game in 2 years. They don't know what it's like to lose. And I'm afraid that if they never learn that lesson, they're never going to know how to react to it in the future.
That's
and that was
a different way of looking at it.
I mean, he never threw a game.
No.
But he wasn't sorry that they lost. It didn't break his heart because it was more important to him that these kids get developed than that he has a record.
Yeah, and it was during Cappy's time that they used to broadcast the games locally.
Oh, sure.
You could stay home and watch them on TV. But those stands, as you well know, when we were there, for your whole career at Scully, you never saw a losing game at home. They're undefeated for 3 years at home until my senior year, and it was the first game they went and they got beat.
You played?
No, I didn't play. No, first year was our senior year was the first time we lost at home with our guys. But it was that place used to be. When you hear the word rockin', that place was filled.
Sure.
And
because you not only had the large bleachers filled, the cafeteria was open, and there were several rows of chairs, and you could stand behind them.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, we used to sit up on the top row on the windowsills. That was where, as freshmen, that's where we staked out our claim, and it had to be a horrific place to come to play because.
If you're somebody else,
for somebody else, because as good Catholic kids, we were very challenging for the officials. I mean, we were pretty abusive up there. Yeah. But the things I remember most with Dutch there is before the big football games or basketball games, we'd have an assembly, and he'd come out with the telegrams.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And what a sense of humor this guy had. I mean,
he wrote them all himself.
It was unbelievable. I mean, the Sahara Desert is not as dry as his sense of humor was, but it was people would roar. It was funny, the stuff he'd say that these famous people were sending
him telegrams.
Telegrams, whether it was Vince
the one I remember. Do you remember the year when Notre Dame and Michigan State were fighting for the national championship, and they play each other in the second to last game, and it's a tie, and Ara Parsegian sits on the ball, and goes for the tie. When they could have taken some chances and gone for the win. Of course, if you take chances, you could also lose. And he was widely criticized for it at the time. And Notre Dame, the following week, plays USC, I think during the O.J. Simpson era, if I'm not mistaken. It was around that time. And they beat them by like 30 points or something. They just pile up the score so that they'll get the national championship after playing for the tie. And so the telegram says, "Dear Coach, don't play for the tie. Ara Parsegian."
Go for the win.
I wish I could remember some of them because they were hilarious. So it was just one after another.
Red Auerbach used to send telegrams.
Oh my God.
All these famous people, and they were so apropos for the situation that was coming up that weekend for the game. It was great, And
he used the same thing in world geography class. he couldn't draw worth a damn, and he would have these tests with a blob that's supposed to be, for example, Australia, and there are like numbers all over the map, and they got a list of choices as to what they could be. Well, you don't know whether he's pointing to a river, a province, the country itself.
The geographic features were not included on the map.
Right. So you don't, is this a city? I don't know. So somebody complained about it, that this is a terrible drawing. He says, fact is, I used to draw a lot better than this, but then one day I got this mean letter from Walt Disney, and he told me I better cut it out. When Joe Riley got married, Dutch had already passed away recently at the time Joe got married, and Dutch was Joe's godfather as well as his uncle, and I sent him an anonymous telegram from Dutch. God. He could insult the crap out of you, and you'd go away laughing,
But you held it till you went away.
Geez.
Yeah, he was a piece of work.
Oh, my sister in world geography class. He had the same notes for 25 years teaching, the paper was all yellow and cracking, and the jokes would be in the margins. As he'd remember to tell this joke on this particular day, and the upperclassmen would say, "Did he get to this joke yet?" Yeah. Well, I think it was the first day of school. He says, "Anybody here take music? Music lessons?" My sister raises her hand, and he says, "All right." He says, "Can you give me some geographical names that are found in musical song titles?" Well, my sister thinks, she says, "Blue Danube." All right, that's good. Anything else?" And she freezes. She can't come up with anything. "What do you take, drums?" And the whole thing was a setup for his coming up with Managua, Nicaragua, It's a Wonderful Place, which I think was an Andrews Sister song or something like that, or maybe what's her name? Carmen Miranda. Managua, Nicaragua, It's a Wonderful Place. Fortunately, didn't sing. Dutch is in my book a couple of times.
Is that where the hill is named after?
What's that? Dutch Hill, yeah. No.
No, the hill was there first. He was named after the hill.
No, I think it's because people kept confusing Howland with Holland.
Ah.
Yeah. Anyway, Dutch appears in 1942 as Uncle Sam at a Bond rally at the school. He's already like 6'4", 6'5", and he's got an Uncle Sam hat on top of his head with the whiskers. And I guess if you had raised as much as $1 or something for the war bonds, you were entitled to shake Uncle Sam's hand. It was kind of like the magazine drives. And he comes out singing Any Bonds Today. Actually, it was Any Stamps Today, version of Any Bonds. Irving Berlin, Any Bonds Today. Now, just the image of Dutch coming out there to begin with, but the image of him singing on top of that is...
that's...
Ooh. Any volunteers for detention? Going, you volunteer? No. No. Well, I got you down anyway. Yeah. How tough it was having your mother being the English teacher and the geography teacher sending you to detention every day. Did I ever tell you this story? I always got the same assignment.
Yeah.
I've told you that story?
Yes.
All right. All right, look for it on the archive. Don't ask me where or when. But what a great guy. What a great guy.
And when he took over as football coach, he knew exactly nothing about football. But he read everything out there about football. So you could see by the end of the year, he had an idea of what he was doing, what the team was doing. You know, and then when he got to Scully, the team's turned around. But
even then, I think they had a winning season the first year, or at least they were like 3-3, maybe something like that.
Yeah, they didn't play very many games that first year.
I think they played 6 games. I think they were 3-3. But that was what I always thought too. But in fact, when he was in the Navy, he played football. He didn't play because there was no football team at St. Mary's, but he played football in the Navy. I found that in one of the old articles. So he wasn't completely unfamiliar with it, but certainly coaching it. I mean, he maybe played for a year in the Navy off and on when they weren't shooting down planes or something. But to come in cold like that, we're going to start up a football program.
Right, and they start with the varsity. It wasn't like they built their way up in the first year play, and they went right to a varsity.
I mean, there's the advantage you had of having the Little Giants program, so the kids had played football. And he did bring along Mr.
The old guy. The guy from Little Giants.
Yeah.
Glasses.
Whitey?
No, it wasn't Whitey.
It wasn't Whitey. It was Steve. Steve
Davis.
Steve Davis. Steve Davis, who was old then, and looked to be like 95, something like that.
Yeah. They used to play down at St. Mary at Shuttleworth Park.
That's right.
That's where they had their home football games for a while before they went to the Scully Field that they carved out of a field, literally.
Yeah.
There.
Yeah. It's kind of fun playing on the field at Mohawk Mills Park.
Well, a lot of pro games were played on baseball fields too, so it wasn't that far out of the field. I mean,
no.
Giant Stadium. They used to, the New York Giants played at
the Polo Grounds.
Yeah, and they had to run across the infield.
Yeah.
They didn't cover them up. Then they were just.
Oh yeah, but the Patriots played at Fenway.
Philadelphia was always Philly.
I think that the Giants played at the New York Giants played at Yankee Stadium. Yeah. Pretty sure. Right?
Yeah, they did.
I don't remember.
Yeah, a lot of that was going on. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was, but it's different down because there weren't any. They had to bring bleachers out. Most people stood around the field down there because they didn't have that many bleachers to bring out there. And they played in the Pioneer League.
The Pioneer League.
Yeah, us, Canjo, Fonda, Skahari. Skahari was in it.
Yeah. And Middleburg,
Middleburg.
Yeah.
Oh. Then they picked up somebody else. I remember one time they went down. They played down at Ichabod. No, Ravenna, Queeman, Selkirk.
Yes.
They went down. That was a long bus ride, and it was amazing. All their sporting events, they had buses, and the buses were always filled. And there was always 2 or 3 spectator buses that would go. For a buck, you could ride a bus to a game.
Yeah. Yeah. That's true.
Yeah. I remember we went. They played.
That probably included the price of admission too. I don't know.
Nah, it was only a quarter, I think, usually the admission. But we went up to Burke when we were sophomore year, our freshman year, and that was going to be the big game for the league title.
That's right.
And that place was that wasn't a big place, but it was over. I mean, you had people standing underneath the baskets.
That's right.
Game, all the way around.
And it's a tie game going into the last seconds, and Dutch calls a timeout, and the scheme is to pass the ball to Bill Dado to take the final shot.
Bill Stanley.
No, Bill Dado was supposed to take the final shot, but they got tied up, and Joe Bialabak ends with the ball, who was a sophomore. And he had absolutely veins of ice on the basketball court, and he tosses a fall-away jumper at the buzzer that goes in for the win. It was absolutely fantastic. Yeah. Phil Spencer said that's a lot of pressure on a 15-year-old.
Yeah.
The wrong guy had the ball, and Dutch said years later, he says, if I was ever in a situation like that, Bialabak's the guy I would want to take the shot.
He was the only sophomore on the team that year.
Only starting one, only starting sophomore,
They've got a girl going to the combine to try for a kicker.
Really?
Yeah, that was in the papers this morning, today. There's been a couple in college and high schools that were kickers, but
never for the pros, huh?
This is the first one going for the pros for a tryout.
Good.
She makes it.
Cool. That about does it for the first hour. We're going to regroup here and come back shortly with the second hour. And I'm Bob Going with Jim Nicosia and Gavin Murdoch, and you've been watching the show with no name.